Hello and welcome to Cloaker's Education Foundation, where we provide quality content for amazing teachers and students. If you're joining us from our previous videos, welcome back. If this is your first time, we're glad you're here. This is our World History series, and this lesson specifically is on the Indus River Valley. Before we begin, don't forget to check out the link in the descriptions below for a set of free guided notes to this lesson. Now let's dive in. The objective of this lesson is that students will be able to analyze how the geography of the Indian subcontinent influenced the development and the decline of the Indus Valley Civilization. We have a big essential question for that, and that is, of course, how did geography of the subcontinent of India shape the early civilizations like the Indus River Valley? So we'll be talking about the geography of India, we'll be talking about the culture of the Indus River Valley, and we'll be talking about the fall of that ancient civilization. So let's set the stage. Historians know less about the origins and decline of the Indian culture because there is little to no translation of documents or writings and symbols. We have them, some of them are very well preserved, some of them not so much, but we have very little ideas about what they mean. So let's talk about the subcontinent of India. You can see here it is quite a diverse geography, including the regions of Pakistan and Afghanistan. You have high altitudes and generally less water. You come down to the Indus River Valley, you have the marshes, and then the elevations go into a plateau as you reach the southern tip. India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh are separate from the main continent of Asia, and if you go to our World Geography series, you know that the tectonic plates are pushing India up into Asia, and this is forming several mountain ranges that separate South Asia from East Asia or northern parts of Asia, and those are the mountain ranges of the Hindu Kush, the Karakoram, and the Himalayas. You can see on this map with the arrows the three major mountain ranges that separate this region from the rest of Asia: the Hindu Kush, running through Afghanistan, the Karakoram range in northern parts of Pakistan, and then the Himalayas, which run along the northern coast of India and Nepal. People in the West generally refer to this entire mountain range as the Himalayas, and that would be a misnomer. That is incorrect. There are three mountain ranges. The Himalayas only refers to one distinct part. When it comes to the geography and the path of the Indus River, it is much different than that of ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia and the Huanghe River Valley, as the Indus River farming is only possible in areas directly watered by the Indus. The soil is much worse in this region compared to that of the other river valleys. There is another major river that flows into India, and we see some civilizations begin popping up along the Ganges River as opposed to the Indus. Now, the Ganges flow from the Himalayas across the northern plains of India and empty out into the Bay of Bengal. And so you see on this map the Indus River on the left flowing from the Karakoram Range, the southern parts bordering the Thar Desert, but the Ganges coming down from the Himalayas and emptying out on the east side of the Indian subcontinent. The Ganges and these other rivers, they together form an area known as the Indo-Gangetic Plain, and this is the predominant agricultural space within the subcontinent of India. We see the major storms, the monsoons that come in and dominate the climate. They're unpredictable, causing yearly flooding. They damage the environment, but they do bring some vital life with the rain from the storm. The Indo-Gangetic Plain, of course, being the plain that runs between the Himalayas and the southern plateaus, as you see on your screen. The monsoons, of course, play a huge role as they come through and across the Indian subcontinent in the months of June and July, hitting that region, bringing much needed rainfall to the plains. But the more dated ancient historical sites are along the Indus River Valley civilizations like Harappa and the Mohenjo-Daro, which we spoke about earlier. Historians have yet to decipher the writing used within the Indus River Valley, but it is estimated with unclear timelines that there was the domestication of animals like sheep and goats around 7000 BC. It's sometimes generally referred to as the Harappan civilization because of the discoveries made at that archaeological site. Discoveries like the city planning, built on a grid system, very much modern, like cities in the 21st century, built on a grid system, unlike Mesopotamia, which just kind of built as they grew and it led to all sorts of wonky, winding streets. We see that plumbing was brought into the cities, so there was water and access to water in city centers, and even those that were in the upper echelons of society might even have access to water in their homes or on their property. And all of this suggests that there was a strong central government that did quite a bit of planning for the growth of the city. And you can see here the grid system that was used in places like Mohenjo-Daro and the Harappa, with buildings being constructed in squares and straight, clear street paths and streets for people to travel on. While some of the details are unclear as far as the plumbing, having plumbing running through most of the major cities where you can have access to clean drinking water, and there have been historical discoveries saying that this path would be clean drinking water and this path would be sewage, is quite unique and quite advanced for such an ancient civilization. In ancient sites like Harappa, the ruins and remains suggest that society's class divisions were not that great. Most of the housing and homes were fairly comparable, not one extreme or the other. There were artifacts of toys and clay pots found, suggesting that society was rather prosperous and there was time for recreation and craftsmanship. Few items for war have been found, few spears and shields have been found, but very limited numbers, so it suggests that conflict was not a major issue, and that would make sense with the ocean to the south, the mountain ranges to the north, and the massive amounts of desert mountains to the west. But there has been quite an influence of animals, elephants, cows, horses, oxen, and historians believe that this Harappan society used a theocracy, although it's unclear, and quite possibly was governed by priests under the Hindu religion. You can see here the carvings of animals on pots and walls, again suggesting the importance of them in society. Even the figurines have animals, and whether these figurines were spiritual items or religious items, or whether they were toys for children is unclear, but they were excavated from the Harappan historical site. While it has been unclear what caused the downfall of the Indus River Valley civilizations, in the 70s, with the advancements of technology in geology and the study of tectonic plates, it was suggested that the earthquakes from the plates colliding, the flooding from monsoons, and the Indus River changing course, all of these played a role in the decline of the civilizations. Some, of course, suffering from the natural disasters, but others not being able to access water, have less food, and therefore less people. And then lastly, the migration of the Aryan people from the Caucasian mountains coming into India, taking over an area that was not known for warfare, It was the perfect storm to end this civilization. So let's take a few moments and answer the essential question on your guided notes. How did the geography of the Indian subcontinent shape the early civilizations like the Indus Valley? That wraps up our lesson for this video. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, especially if you found this helpful. Check us out on Teachers Pay Teachers, YouTube, Rumble, and the Cloaker Education Foundation website. We have a ton of resources and a ton of free videos for you there. Videos on the other ancient river valley civilizations like Egypt, Mesopotamia, ancient Israel, and the Huanghe River Valley, or skip to our next unit. Imagine arguing with Zeus over something petty, seeing ancient cancel culture, athletes risking life and limb and not even getting a medal. Yes, we'll be looking at ancient Greece in our next unit. All that and more is just a click away. I'll see you there.